Again, the third video to do with our immune function and our nutrition. Now, a lot of what I've got for you on this final video, this third video for the time being, I'm sure there'll be many more. There's quite a lot of information here, and it's come from a couple of very well known and well renowned websites. So the first one is based in Ulster, and it's the Nutrition Innovation Centre for Food and Health. And what they do, they're recognised for their research into how food and nutrition influence the role of the immune system. And that's in regard to our health, in regard to things like inflammation, infection and disease. And as it says on their site, the human immune system functions to protect the body against foreign pathogens, preventing infection and disease. However, they've also found that malnutrition is the most common cause of immunodeficiency in the world, and optimal functioning of the immune system, both innate, in other words what's already there, and adaptive immunity, in other words when the immune system adapts to new pathogens that it comes across, like the SARS-CoV-2. Both the innate and the adaptive immunity is strongly influenced by an individual's nutritional status. So in other words, the better the nutrition, the more likely it is that people can stave off these various viruses that we seem to be having, going across the world at the moment. They've also found that there are gene-nutrient interactions. So in other words, things that affect our DNA and so on can be impacted by nutrition or deficiency of nutrients, where it comes to our immune response. So as we know, COVID-19 is an infectious disease caused by severe acute respiratory syndrome that has had a significant impact on the way in which we live our lives. I'm reading this from the actual website. Whilst the vast majority of people infected with COVID-19 experience mild symptoms and can recover without the need for hospitalisation, it has become increasingly clear that those with pre-existing non-communicable diseases such as diabetes, chronic lung diseases, cardiovascular disease, and obesity are at increased risk of severe illness and mortality. So, looking at specific foods and nutrients that might affect COVID-19 severity, there are various outcomes that the scientific community are beginning to develop now. And given that a common complication in patients with severe COVID-19 and individuals with non-communicable diseases is excessive inflammation, they suggest that foods that have anti-inflammatory properties may possess a protective role. Likewise, the role of nutritional status, in other words, how well we are eating, and other nutrients such as selenium, vitamin D and vitamin C has gathered attention recently, with vitamin D and selenium deficiency recently linked to COVID-19 severity. So we can see there that if people are getting enough selenium and things like zinc and vitamin C, then it's very less likely that they are going to suffer severely, even if they do contract COVID-19. So there's an interesting study that was done by a team, an international team of researchers including Professor Ethan W. Taylor, and they've identified a significant association between COVID-19 prognosis and regional selenium status in China. So, in other words, they've looked at various places in China that either are very much have high levels of selenium in the soil, or they have very reduced levels. And obviously, because this current situation, this global situation, started in China, they've been able to look at all of these different areas in China to see whether there is some kind of relationship between a lower incidence of selenium in the soil and a higher rate of severe infection of COVID-19. So a little bit about selenium, which they talk about in their research. Selenium is an essential dietary trace element that over the last 40 years has been found to be a significant factor affecting the incidence, severity, or mortality of various viral diseases in animals and in humans. This has been studied most extensively in the case of HIV and AIDS, where selenium status has proven to be an important determinant of disease progression and mortality. As China has geographical regions known to have either extremely high or low soil selenium levels, one of the first human diseases associated with selenium deficiency was actually identified there in a region of, I'm not sure how this is pronounced, Heilongjiang province named Keshan. And they actually named a disease called Keshan disease, which involves a potentially fatal weakening of the heart. And it was eventually proved to have a viral cofactor, which is the Coxsackie virus. But its incidence and severity were greatly reduced through dietary selenium supplementation. Other diseases associated with viral infections that had been endemic in these low selenium regions of China have been at least partially controlled or treated by selenium supplementation. These include liver cancer associated with hepatitis viruses and epidemic hemorrhagic fever associated with hantavirus infections. Considering this history of viral infections that can be exacerbated by selenium deficiency, we, as in the research team, hypothesized that selenium status might be a factor in the outcome of COVID-19, Taylor said. The study was made possible by the fact that for many cities in China there is accurate published data on the average levels of selenium in human hair, which is highly correlated to dietary intake. Using cumulative COVID-19 outcome data from February the 18th, the study found that in the city of Enshi, which has the highest selenium intake in China, the cure rate percentage of COVID-19 patients declared cured by that date was almost triple that of the average of all the other cities in Hubei province. In contrast, in Heilongjiang province, where Keshan is located and selenium intakes are among the lowest in the world, the death rate from COVID-19 was almost 5 times as high as the average of all the other provinces and municipalities outside of Hubei. So I'm sorry that I had to read all of that, but there was no way I could remember it all. And without a teleprompter, unfortunately I had to look away from the screen, but hopefully you can see from that the detail in the research that's been done already that there are some very, very important nutrients, essential micronutrients that we all need to be using. Okay, so selenium, obviously a very important one. Vitamin C, very important. Zinc, very important. There are others, but unfortunately, it's just those three so far that have had the major studies done on them. But certainly, there are lots of other things within the whole range of plants, vegetables, and so on that we could consume that are going to give lots of nutrients that perhaps we wouldn't do otherwise. But it's also important, and it's been recognized that especially in those areas which are deficient in things like selenium in the soil, then we also have to supplement. And I don't think in this day and age we can actually get away without supplementing. If we are looking at having an optimal nutrition and also growing old healthily. Now, I'm quite happy to tell people that I am 65 years old. I certainly don't feel it. I don't think I have the energy of a normal 65-year-old. And one of the reasons I believe that I stay as healthy as I do is because I am supplementing my diet, which I also try and make sure is as good as possible, but I supplement with various other things too. Anyway, I hope that you found these 3 videos useful. And if you have any questions, obviously I'm more than willing to try and answer them. What I would say is I'm not a medical expert. I do have qualification in nutrition, but this is a huge, huge subject. I do say to people that they should do their own research, but I've done some of it for you. And I hope, as I say, that you find that useful. But do go and do your own research on this stuff. There's a lot of stuff out there. It's readily available. You just have to maybe find the time to actually sit down and look at some of it. Anyway, I wish you the best of health, and I hope you have a good afternoon and evening. We'll no doubt speak again soon. You take care. Bye bye.